When you study the rise and fall of civilizations, one detail keeps showing up like a fault line running through history. Drought has always been the great equalizer. From the collapse of the Maya, to the Dust Bowl exodus, to the multi-year droughts that reshaped East Africa, the societies that endured weren't the ones with the most rainfall. They were the ones that learned how to stretch every drop, adapt their systems, and make the land productive, even when the sky stopped cooperating. And that's why this topic matters today. Whether you farm a few acres, run a homestead, or simply want to understand the agricultural engineering behind long-term survival, knowing how to farm during drought is one of the most valuable skill sets you can develop. No theatrics, no romanticism, just methods forged by history and verified by modern field trials. So, for the next few minutes, you'll learn the exact principles that have helped communities stay fed through brutal dry seasons. Stick with this guide to the end, because mastering drought farming isn't optional anymore. It's becoming part of the new operating manual for anyone serious about agriculture and food resilience. The first step is understanding how water actually moves through soil. Drought farming begins with knowing your soil's behavior. Dry conditions expose every weakness in structure, organic matter, and infiltration. When soil is low in carbon, water runs off the surface instead of soaking in. That means one short rainstorm can disappear in minutes. African Sahel farmers solved this by building organic matter even in barren landscapes. Traditional methods like adding composted manure, leaf mulch and biochar changed the soil's sponge-like capacity. If you want a practical starting point, choose one section of your field and apply a heavy layer of organic mulch, straw, wood chips or shredded leaves, and water deeply once. Over a few weeks, you'll see the soil temperature stabilize, water loss slow down, and microbial life return. That small test patch teaches more about drought resilience than a dozen textbooks. The second principle is controlling evaporation at ground level. A drought-resistant field is built on shade, cover, and insulation. Bare soil is a liability. Historical terrace farms, from the Andes to Ethiopia, all share the same pattern. Soil was always covered, whether by mulch crop residue or living ground covers. If you're farming during drought, your goal is to prevent sunlight from directly hitting the soil. One method is to plant low-growing legumes like cowpeas or lablab at the base of taller crops. These living covers shade the soil, reduce evaporation, and add organic nitrogen. Another method is leaving crop residues on the ground instead of clearing them after harvest. Even a thin layer of stalks can reduce water loss dramatically. The third principle is choosing crops bred for scarcity, not abundance. The crops that survive drought aren't necessarily the ones that look impressive in good seasons. Across history, dryland farmers gravitated toward hardy species because they understood that resilience beats volume. Sorghum, millet, cowpeas, cassava, pigeon peas, tepary beans and amaranth all demonstrate this. These plants evolved in dry, punishing conditions and continue producing even when rainfall becomes unpredictable. If you're starting now, dedicate a trial plot to drought-tolerant varieties and monitor how they perform compared to your usual crops. In many regions, farmers have doubled their reliability simply by replacing water-intensive species with deep-rooted or heat-adapted alternatives. The fourth principle is optimizing irrigation with precision instead of frequency. Watering lightly and often is a mistake during drought. It trains plants to rely on surface moisture and weakens the root systems that matter most. Traditional dryland farming, you see, works on the opposite concept, watering deeply, infrequently, and directly into the root zone. These days, this kind of thinking translates into systems like clay pot irrigation, drip irrigation, and, well, even buried lines. Clay pot systems, where unglazed pots are buried between crops, are honestly extremely efficient in small gardens. The water seeps out slowly, right where the roots need it, with minimal loss to evaporation. In larger fields, drip systems placed under mulch, they provide the same effect. A good test is actually quite simple. Water deeply, then dig a small hole the next day. If moisture hasn't reached 15 to 20 centimeters down, well, the watering just wasn't deep enough. The fifth principle is shaping the land to capture and store water. Throughout history, communities that face chronic drought reshape the land, not just the crops. Swales, terraces, contour trenches, and small earthen bunds catch water instead of letting it escape. In India's Rajasthan desert, farmers revived johads, small catchment ponds that restored entire ecosystems. In West Africa, the use of planting basins called zai pits helped reclaim dry, crusted land. You can apply the same ideas on a smaller scale. If your field sits on a slope, mark the contour line and dig a shallow trench along it. After the next rain, you'll see the trench fill, slow, and spread the water instead of letting it rush downhill. That single adjustment can keep moisture in the soil for weeks. The sixth principle is protecting plants from heat stress so they can use the water you give them. Shade is a survival tool in drought agriculture, not a weakness. Ancient Middle Eastern orchards were planted with layers, tall trees on top, vines or shrubs below, then ground crops. This natural heat shield kept soil cool and reduced transpiration. You can replicate this with simple shade cloths or live shade from fast-growing trees like moringa or pigeon pea. Even partial shade during the hottest hours can increase yields during drought conditions. Farming through drought isn't about luck. It's about applying the same principles that kept civilizations fed long before modern irrigation existed. If you put even a few of these strategies into practice, you're building resilience that will serve you for years. If this guide helped you understand drought farming in a deeper way, subscribe to Farm Logic and share this video so more people can use real working methods to secure their harvests.